Jack?
I understand that this was one time coin operated, and it was at Cedar Point, is that true?
Yes, Mark knows the history on that. What? Coin operated, this was coin.
I just know it was coin operated, I don't know when, I believe it was coin operated when it went to like Macy's and those places, because he didn't send it there for free. You know, I mean, he was making money, you know, how businessmen are.
There is a
They were
coin
making-
slot here.
There is a coin slot here,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So, we were looking, we couldn't find any coins, but if we did, we wouldn't have told Bill anyway. And they probably worth a lot of money. So, yeah, any other questions?
Mark Mayer.
Mark, do they know how he collected all those birds, all 104 birds from different countries? Was he a world traveler or did he?
Didn't he?
No, I'm really not sure on that exhibit yet. It's like Mark said, I think that was, he built that to kind of be a fill-in to the Pan exhibit because it dealt with this side of the world. The Pan American exhibit was strictly on this hemisphere, or this half of the world. And in doing that, it kind of embraced the fair enough that I think he thought, hey, if I can get that in, I can get my other machines in. He called these spectacular machines. They weren't just, oh, here's my exhibit. And they're very intimate, by the way. And you know what is proof of that? All the people here today, if you were to sit back there, even in the back part, if we shut out all the lights, you could see it and you could hear it. But if you're by yourself, it's really meant to be 6 people looking at it at one time. It's a very intimate display, like all of his displays. You're supposed to go up to the glass. You're supposed to look way in. You're supposed to drift off into it. It's a beautiful composition. I told Rick, and he and I had the fun of discovering this. Mark wasn't around. Well, yeah, you came. And we would share things with Mark, but not much. Anyway, like finding the rainbow, for example. I said, Rick, look at this fan blade. There's a fan blade.
I already knew it was there, I just didn't want to tell him.
But it was so exciting. You know, I still study this, even compositionally, and it tells you a lot about a person. It's a work of art. And when you look at this and you balance the composition this way, you'll notice that the arc is just as important as the altar. So, what's that say? You know, if you look at it, here again, there's too much art history in me, but I can sit here and sort of project the fact that not only did he believe that God destroyed the earth, but God made a promise. You know, it's beautiful. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make it work. I wasn't telling
These guys,
you.
no.
Of the 4 of us working, because we all see things differently, and it all came together that way, and able to supplement each other, and which is how we got to the end. But as Herb said, it was fascinating. When we first got approval to look at this 2 years ago, we just sat there, we opened up the doors and we sat and stared. We just sat, we sat and stared at this thing, wondering what to do with it. Because we were trying to determine what of it was, what did it do? Because there were so many things in this cabinet that when we opened it up, it didn't work, right? So we were trying to figure out what each of these pieces do. And we found so many pieces that were disconnected, were not functional. And so we had to imagineer how it was supposed to work. And so eventually, to do that, I broke it down into 5 seconds blocks. And so we would run this, and simply by timing, and I would log every 5 seconds what was happening. And based on that, I was able to put together a timeline of what it was supposed to do. Okay? Or at least what we thought it was supposed to do. And then ultimately, we started looking at the mechanics of it and electrical and figuring out what these devices, what devices are doing what, does it actually work? And we ultimately figured out how the thing has to work, and then we were able to figure out what to remove, and what we had to add, and what we had to repair, and what we couldn't replace, and we had to make pieces to the point where we finally got it working.
We'd have been done a year sooner if Mark hadn't jumped in. I tell you what, seriously, we get to laughing so hard. We're working in that little room, the Ark room now, that is now Noah's Ark room, but we get to laughing so hard in there. And it was so crowded. I mean, my butt would be in Rick's face, and we were hitting elbows and everything. Finally, Mark, just common sense, said, let's ask Amy if we can move it into the gallery. I'm like, hey! And but it has been a great experience. I still can go out and have a beer with these guys and laugh about it, so it's a wonderful thing. Yeah, somebody else, Carlin? Oh.
This question, did that Tom Robin, did that get made and then did that get in a flood wiped out or something?
The museum, the Historical Society loaned Cod Robin, the original display, to the Dayton Museum in 1913. If you were around in 1913, you would know that there was a huge flood and that got destroyed there and we didn't get it back. So all we have now is one picture of it and the drawings. If anybody wants to look at those, I have a copy. So that was it.
Oh, Mike.
The narrator remembers this version.
The narration was done by
Bill Holden.
Bill Holden.
In 1991.
I wanted to tell everybody, it still runs on the original electric motor that is 120 years old. Still runs on that same motor, seriously. That's incredible.
And mechanically, it's still the same wooden disc, same load, driven by that same old motor that has the mountain go down and opens up the doors to the cave. And still is used to drive some gearing to determine the home position, the start position of the whole apparatus. But when it comes to the specific timing of things happening, these controllers down here, these little computers actually control the timing of when much of this happens. Because it is so mechanically, the gearing and such is so wore out that there's so much variation that it won't run properly. It'll run sometimes, but not repeatedly because of all the wear. And because of that, we had to go to a little computer controller to account for all the variation.
I did have a question, and maybe some of you saw this too. Do you notice the round drum up at the top? Did anybody notice what that was for? Or did you see? There, it just has a little word inside at the bottom center. It just says Amen. Well, before the time of audio, that was what you would do. You would come up and read that. That drum would index around day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, all the way around to the Bible verses and the Amen. And yet you read the scripture or the script. It wasn't given to you by voice.
Yes, the audio is actually, if you go through here and read all these documents, that is what the audio is saying.
Yeah.
And so, for example, here at the beginning where there's this pause after the raven comes out and you wait for the raven to come around the second time and there's just music, during that time period, that drum up there would have said day 1, day 2, day 3 to day 6, and at day 7 is when the dove comes out. But because the words are so difficult to read, it's so tiny that we didn't rebuild that.
Oh, just one more tidbit, I've got to share this with you. Rick and I and Mark are going through this, the back end's open, and all of a sudden, I start seeing these business cards stuck to the inside. Handwritten with a Pro Quill pen by James E. Grosjean back in 1899. And here's what you do to start it at zero again. Here's what you do to bring the raven out at the right time. Here's what the lights should do. Here's this, here's that. He literally had them on business cards stuck to the back. They're still in there. They're still in there. They're still in there.
What's your next project?
Oh, I'm leaving. I'm done with these guys.
We haven't been told yet.
Yeah. We're still waiting for instruction after this show today. I don't know. Maybe another job.
And I don't know if we can get along well enough to.
Yeah. We could, but
Golf season, guys.